So that's a question. If all these problems that we've expressed have been chalked up to state concerns, then what are your concerns? What can you do for us? Because you're a congressman.
Yeah, what can you do to help the state of Missouri? I mean,
what do you do to help the state of Missouri? What do you do to help the state of Missouri? If we cannot get an answer of what can you do, what do you do?
What issue?
Well, I'm part of Congress for, running the federal government.
Right, I think what they mean is, what can you do to help the citizens of Missouri through a trying economic?
It's not that bad. We know what a policy.
Well, right now, my focus is on lowering the debt and getting spending down. So that's
and how do you plan on doing that?
But how is that? But how is that helping working families?
So austerity
measures.
Somebody's going to have to
for working families.
Somebody's going to have to pay for that eventually.
So why can't that
Hey! Everyone.
Mic check.
Mic check. One at a time.
So why can't that be your donors? Your major donors like AT&T, who, if we actually close these tax loopholes, we could easily be taken care of. The kind of criminal behavior that these corporations are getting away with, the same corporations that are paying you to make sure that you can get elected.
Oh, Jason.
Stop voting. Why are you voting in favor of these corporations over your constituents who are actually supposed to be voting? For instance, I said AT&T.
I know, but I vote for it.
Right. So what you mean is a lack of voting, right? You haven't voted to do things like increase the corporate tax rates or reform the tax code so that they actually pay their taxes.
We've got the second highest corporate tax rate in the nation. I think that's what
wait. Let me ask you this: if I'll accept that as true, right? I'll accept that as true, which I don't think it is. But where do we rank on corporations on what they actually pay in taxes? Where do we rank on that?
But then why don't, instead of, okay, we're driving out small business or large companies, large corporations by raising their taxes, why don't we lower the taxes of the mom and pop shops? Let them grow to the point of this corporate line. Let the locals grow.
We're trying to do that, or at least we're trying to keep the taxes from going up.
Well, lower the taxes for small businesses.
We're trying to actually keep them going up.
But I'm sorry, but you didn't answer my question. And we're all everyday people here. We're not going to accept a dancing around. My question is, why aren't you closing these tax loopholes on corporations like AT&T, who are one of the top 20?
I haven't had a chance to say anything.
No, I'm not a politician. I'm not a law school student. I'm an everyday person. And I'm not going to be able to name bill blah 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 number whatever. I'm not going to be able to do that. How is it that AT&T didn't pay any tax?
How about the subsidies?
Well, you should know they're the ones who. They gave you $10,000 last year for this upcoming election that you're about to go into. They gave you $10,000 and you don't know where their money's coming from or where it's going. Yeah, it's
Where's it going?
That's why you refuse these corporate donations that you get. If you don't know anything about these corporations or where they get their money from, why do you accept their donations?
Can we ask what do you think the solutions are to the?
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
We've heard your rebuttals to our questions, and I think what we're saying here basically is that the people that have elected you into office are electing you for something other than what you're doing. So going forward, can we get a commitment from you to vote the way we're asking you?
Extend unemployment for people who need it. People who need this to stay in their homes and not be kicked out. People who are looking for work.
I'll look at it.
Well, what does I'll look at it mean for unemployment insurance? It's insurance, by the way. We pay into it out of every paycheck to make sure that if by chance we lose our jobs, we have insurance to take care of us. We pay for that.
We've been guaranteed that.
How about moving forward, we also do things that would create jobs for American workers rather than taking them away or funding those who are currently not creating jobs. It's for the job creators who have yet to produce jobs.
I mean, that's what my bailiwick is small business.
Your what?
Bailiwick. That's what my interest is. It's an interest point. It's a focus.
It's actually a British term for like a city or county, like. Yeah.
Can we get a yes or no from you that you will vote the way that we're asking you to?
We speak to the people. Give me something.
We can give you a yes.
Extend unemployment benefits. Don't cut Medicare and Medicaid. I mean, these are the things. We need a social safety net in this country. We have high rates of unemployment and no jobs are being created. The wages for working people are stagnating while CEO salaries are going through the roof. There's something essentially wrong with what's going on. I mean, this is increasement in inequality since 1979. We're not even talking about what it would look like to have equality. These are the increases since 1979 alone, which is already a vastly unequal time period. Working people are not gaining wages. We're losing buying power. We can't even stay in our own homes, right? We cannot survive if we don't have work. Many of us hate our jobs, but we have to stay there because we don't have alternatives.
And if you're saying that raising tax on corporations and the rich then would make them move jobs out of the country, then what you're really admitting is that the system as we know it is unsustainable for working class people because the corporations are then holding you and us hostage because they will send those to other countries. So is that a concern of yours that no longer you're able to represent your constituency, but rather a bunch of people that are holding American workers hostage because of taxes?
That major companies have a dictatorship on this country and we have to beg them to stay? Is that the situation? Is it the situation that our businesses left in the 1950s when their tax codes were much higher than they are now actually? When there was general prosperity in this country? Their tax codes were significantly higher, some of them going up to 90%. Now it's not even close to that, and yet we're somehow afraid that they're going to abandon ship just because we raise tax on them. They're making record profits. Record profits.
And we're being screwed in the process.
How do you feel about that?
Working people.
How do you feel about your people?
The regulatory environment they have is a privilege, and they should have to pay for it. It's that simple.
Do you think this system is sustainable as it is, with the growing disparity between
the system? I don't think our debt right now is sustainable.
But you think the most vulnerable people? You think the most vulnerable people in our society, the working poor, the elderly, children, and the sick, are the ones that should bear that burden because of a deficit created by reckless Wall Street executives? Is that the way you feel in your heart?
Not a deficit created by, it's created by government. Government spends too much money.
But the responsibility is falling on the shoulders of the poor, not the ones with the money that can do it.
The ones making those decisions, they never see
But that money, all this national debt is not debt that's created from spending on any of these programs. That's all debt that's owed. The vast majority of it is owned internally in this country. We don't owe money to foreign governments or any of these things. That's not the vast majority of our debt. The vast majority of it is owed within this country and it is not produced because we are spending a lot on any kinds of social programs for working people. Whether we have wars abroad, whether we're borrowing from lending banks and things like this. Now, those things are occurring. And if you want to try to rectify that, that's fine. But don't take out the problems that come from that on working people who do not create these problems, but then have to live out the consequences. On the streets, 20% of children in this country live in poverty. That is egregious. 50 million people in this country do not have health care. I am one of them. That is egregious. Other Western industrialized nations provide more coverage to everyone in their country for cheaper rates with equal coverage. We are the only industrialized nation that doesn't provide health insurance to every one of our citizens. We have a lower life expectancy than some second and third world countries. We have a higher infant mortality rate than some second and third world countries. We rank 35th in the world for infant mortality rate. This is the richest country in the world. That is disgusting. That is immoral. I mean, I understand we really don't agree politically, but just get with me on a basic level. That is not right. People in this country are dying and sick, and they don't get help. That's not right. We have the money.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I would like to ask you one question on something that I do know that you voted for, so hopefully you know something about it and can answer some questions. And the one thing that I'm sure we all are concerned about, because we could very easily be, I don't know, whatever by this. S1867. I heard you voted for that. What is your stance?
No, that's not true. He voted for the House version.
The House version? Okay, you voted for the House version regardless.
The defense what is it? The
National Defense Authorization.
national defense.
The House and Senate versions are completely different.
Yeah, indefinite detention of Americans.
Yeah,
basically.
regardless. It was absolutely disgusting. Regardless of whether it's the House or the Senate or on the street, people talking about this. So how could you vote for something like this?
Well, you're specifically talking to the Senate bill. We did vote on the Senate bill.
You did not vote on that?
We didn't vote on the Senate bill. We have a House version. It's
Okay.
completely different.
What does the House version say?
Compared to the Senate
I don't know
version.
on that. I'll have to look up that particular.
Well, the Senate version's like public knowledge and everybody
Well,
testifies.
regardless of whether the differences are in the two bills, how can you vote for the continuation of defense spending on unjustified warfare when working people are suffering and you're looking at also cutting the social programs that they depend on? How do you rectify that? What do you?
You're gonna have to go back. I'm gonna have to go. I've got 13 minutes to get over to the floor, and I can change it.
No, thank you for the time you have.
Thanks for your time.
I highly recommend that you rethink what the value of the government is, because if you're saying that the federal government only deals with national defense and isn't going to deal with our everyday issues, then you're probably.
And half the world's military spending is not a priority.
I gotta go.
Just one parting statement.
If I felt that
The occupied people really good at organizing. There's an occupation at St. Joe. You should go down and talk to those folks.
That's not.
I'd love to hear from you.
Okay, guys, let's
Sounds
wrap
like
it up.
national defense contract.
If you don't have a comment, please move out.
Let's go. Let's go this way.
Any trash?